Welcome to Sacred Magic. Violet is on a quest to bring sacredness back into our everyday experiences. Anyone can have an extraordinary life when they are able to tap into their sacred magic within. Violet and her guests will be sharing their divine passions, inspirations, and stories of connecting with their sacred magic. We are so happy you have joined us today. Let's get started with your host, the magical creator of Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Vialet Rayne.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sacred Magic Podcast. I'm your host, Vialet B Rayne. My guest today is Deborah Weed. She is the founder of Self-Worth Initiative and the force behind the QUILLS movement and Paisley the musical, a bold rallying cry for women to reclaim their power, creativity, and self-worth. With decades of experience in branding, entertainment, and personal reinvention, Deborah's work helps people rise from rejection, betrayal, and burnout. Her message takes her quills back and rewrites your story. So I love that. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Violet. I'm so excited to be here.
Talk to us a little bit about your journey, because it sounds like you've been through some things that have led you to be really passionate about what you do today. So share a little bit about your story.
You got it. Well, it started out as probably many of us who are on the spiritual realm are. I was very sensitive as a young kid, a tremendous empath. But so many people said, you're too sensitive. You're too sensitive. So as I grew up, I wanted to get away from that and prove that I had a lot of corporate experience. And I went on to become the director of development for Citibank, 19 branches. And I also worked on a $26 million pavilion with Universal and Disney consultants. And pavilion is like, it's a small world after all. That's what a pavilion is for Kia Motors in Daejeon, Korea. So I thought that I had it all. I had the shoulder pads, I had the high heels, I had the attitude. But I was way off course because I had been heart-centered as a child, and in corporate, you become very cerebral. Very, very cerebral. It's more thinking and action and doing instead of just being. So I think spiritually and God had a plan for me. I ended up getting misdiagnosed and I was in bed for 3 long years.
Wow, that's a long time, Deborah, to be in bed. But spirit has a way of hitting us over by a 2x4, and it sometimes takes us a while to get the message, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, and I didn't have any choice but to get the message because I think I was out of alignment. I truly believe in retrospect, and this has happened to me 3 times where it's kind of like a misdiagnosis, something that's a mystery, but now I'm truly understanding why in retrospect, what my purpose is now, how I'm moving forward. But during that time period, I also learned something fascinating, and that is that there's a difference between self-esteem and self-worth. So self-esteem is like, look at what I did. I could go to any event. I'm the director of development for Citibank, 19 branches. Sounds pretty cool, right? But when you're in bed and you're not doing anything, self-esteem goes out the window. And now we're talking about self-worth. And a lot of times for self-worth, we look on the outside for finding how much other people think we're worth and say we're worth, and that's what we feel. And if we were brought up in a very hard way, it's hard to have self-worth. But yet self-worth is we determine what we're worth. It's our God-given gift and way of being. And so during that time period, I discovered that self-worth was the answer. And it was actually a 1943 pure copper penny that helped to save my life.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about this story. How did a penny save your life?
Well, when you're down for the count, first of all, I went from doctor to doctor, and the first doctor said that it looked like I had MS, and they wouldn't be able to find out because it was in my brain stem, and they wouldn't be able to find it until after I died. Well, that wasn't going to help me. So, being an overachiever, I went to the next doctor who said that they thought I had Lou Gehrig's disease. And then the next doctor who said that they thought it was all in my head. So when you have what you think is power and you have a voice and you are being underestimated, not heard, and the people around you are starting to abandon you. And I know with long COVID and so many things we go through now, especially as women, this is happening all the time. It was like, where was I going to find my worth? And then I heard about a 1943 pure copper penny that could be worth $250,000. And I was like, well, wait a minute. If a penny, something that seems like it's worth less, could be worth that much, and it was made by mistake, what a metaphor for my life. So I promised myself during that time period that if I ever got out of the mess that I was in, that I would rearrange my life, get back into alignment, and start to share self-worth with everybody that I could. And in fact, the doctors did figure out what was wrong after, it's a simple blood test that answered it. And I went on afterwards to start the Self Worth Initiative and created musicals and books to inspire families and their children to know what self worth meant. And the first story was based on that 1943 pure copper penny, and it was called The Luckiest Penny.
I love that. I love that story. That's pretty amazing. You talk about our quills and picking up our quills and reclaiming them. What do you mean by that? What are you trying to share with us with that line?
That's a great question. On another health challenge, like I said, I seem to get these kind of 2x4s, it's like, go up, do better. I came up with a metaphor of I love the idea of a porcupine. And let me tell you why. Porcupines usually use their quills, right, to protect themselves. They turn their back to the world, and that's what keeps them safe. But in my world of creativity, I wanted to flip it and take a porcupine and have her dream of being an animal fashion designer. But in the animal fashion world, porcupines are seen as pincushions, simply used to take their quills and pin up the couture designs of Savannah, a Cruella de Vil type character who's a taker, and have Paisley give away her quills one by one, signifying power. So I started with a children's book called Paisley's Last Quill that's so beloved. And it was a story of her in the fashion industry, as I mentioned. She's giving away her quills till she's down to the last quill. And then it's what she does with the last quill that makes the difference. And once again, to emphasize, the whole metaphor is we as women, give away our power quill by quill, and yet we don't realize that nobody, but nobody can take your power from you. We don't get stuck because of fear. We get stuck because we've given away our power quill by quill.
I love that. I love that storyline. You have such great creativity in what you bring forward. I think that's really kind of cool. So, your musical that you created, talk to us a little bit on how that got inspired, and if somebody was interested, just share with us the story.
Absolutely. It's based on the same story because when I got the children's book out there, the mothers were like, but what about us? We were giving away our quills. And I've done many musicals and many productions ever since I was 16 years old. And Violet, I really wanted more than anything in the whole world to go for Broadway. But For Broadway, you need 14 to 40 million dollars to produce the kind of musical that I'm looking for, kind of a wicked, magical realism type of thing. And so another hardship, or whatever you want to call it, came up 5 years ago, where both my husband and I went through major, major health things, and I did lose him. He did, transcend. And I decided, you know what? After everything I've been through in my life, why not go for the big, over the top dream, heart first, and see what I can produce? So, what I'm doing is I'm creating the musical and the music. And the first thing that I'm putting out is a 5-song conceptual album. And I have a feeling it's going to blow people away.
Oh, that sounds very cool. Very cool. What a great way to move into your dream and to bring your dreams forward, right? Because a lot of people stay in their fear. I can't do this. I won't be able to achieve that. If somebody today has this big dream, but they're afraid to step in, what would you tell them?
I would tell them one of the most important things. Well, my dad was kind of a Yoda dad, and he shared so much wisdom. But the wisdom that I love to share the most, or partly the most, is, and I'm going to ask you this question: what do you think is the quasi emotion that stops people every single time?
Fear of failure, fear that I won't be enough. All those come up for people, I believe.
And that's what I thought too. I thought it was fear, but he told me it was disappointment. And now I'm going to tell you why. He said the reason why is because we are walking, talking chemical factories, but we don't even know it. So we get really excited. There's a listener out there who has a dream. They've tried it. They get all their adrenaline going and the endorphins and all the oxytocin. And it feels so good. And then they hit an obstacle. And when they hit the obstacle, all those feel good chemicals leave their body, right? But they pick themselves up and they're like, okay, let me try again. And so they give it another try and they go after their dream. And guess what? They hit another obstacle and they get disappointed. And all those feel good chemicals leave their body. And they're not aware whatsoever that they depleted the feel good chemicals. All they know is how bad they feel. And it feels like, if I was describing it to you, I would say, oh man, I tried, but I failed. I can't do it again. But what's really happening, and this is what he warned me about, he said, most people in life flatline for the rest of their lives and they never try again. And the reason why they never try again is because it felt so bad to lose those feel good chemicals. And I'm like, well, Dad, if this is the truth, if what you're saying is the truth, then what do we do? What do I do? And he said, this is where fake it till you make it comes in. This is why it works. You have to override those chemical reactions that are happening to you. So I know for a fact, and I get so excited about inspiring people and being a muse and saying, you have a God-given gift. You have creativity, which is inspiration. It's from above. It's like a current that you can jump into at any moment and be restored. No matter what you're going through physically, mentally, it doesn't even matter. Creativity heals. And when you try again and you come from that standpoint, I'm just going to do it because that's what I was born to do, miracles happen, as you know.
I love that. I love that. I think it's interesting because throughout all my life, I've hit those roadblocks. I've rebuilt many times, and I've kind of gotten to a point of, if everything crashes, I know how to rebuild it again. I've done it so much. It's like a pathway that, hey, you just start building those blocks and you keep going again. And I think for some people, when everything crashes, they just give up. They don't ever try. And I'm like, nope. And every time I've done it, I've built bigger, better, really adjusted what I was thinking. And so each time really brings more into the picture than less. And so if people just realize no matter how bad it is, that means tomorrow's going to be even better if you push through and go, okay, I'm ready to go again. I mean, we all have to wipe ourselves off every once in a while. We all have to dust ourselves off, feel bad for a little bit. I get that. It's part of the human process, but you don't want to stay there. Just shake it off and go again, right? Try again. Because, you have the ability to create whatever reality you want to create. And when you figure that out, you're able to do that, and you let go of the fear of, maybe I fail, maybe I get disappointed, maybe it doesn't work. If you just trust and lean into the process instead of analytically looking at it and just trust your heart, it'll always push you through. It'll always push you through. So you also talk about reinventing yourself after grief and loss. Somebody that's experiencing grief or loss, how do you reinvent yourself? What is some of the things that person can think about or do?
Well, I know for me, I just recently, within a month, lost my husband and the love of my life. And I go from grieving to from wailing to wonder, both. I think that you can hold two emotions at once. For instance, in a day, look at your day. You might wake up and you're like excited, and then you get in traffic and you're like not excited and you're upset. And then somebody calls you and it's like, oh, your stomach hurts. And then you get another call and they say that money is in your bank. And a whole day, you can experience so many emotions. So the first thing to realize is that you are not one dimensional. I mean, not only five dimensions and all the other dimensions we have spiritually, but emotionally, you're constantly flowing through the day. So you like if I know that when I was really sad, some people would say to me, Deborah, you have a black cloud, hovering over you. That's all they could see. And then when I'm really excited, people will say, oh my gosh, you've got such a light around you. You're lit up. That's all that somebody can see. So if you are in grief or whatever it might be, allow yourself to feel it fully. I think that's so healthy. And it's something that as a grandmother, I'm learning to do now, to actually feel it, let it go through, trust the process, but also know that it's something that I'm really passionate about now. And please hear me with all your heart, with your open heart. There is a difference between failure and regret. So let's take a look at that for a second. Failure is like, let's say I have a seed and I'm planting it into the ground. My hands might get dirty and I'm going to be learning stuff. But even with failure, I might get a surprise flower. But with regret, I never plant a seed. I never try. So a lot of times when we are grieving or had hardships or we've been betrayed, we feel like we failed and once again, we don't want to try anymore. But at the end of your life, at the very end of your life, would you rather look back and go, hey, I gave it my best? Or would you like to look back and go, oh my God, I've got regrets. Maybe I could have done that thing that I always wanted to do, no matter how much you're hurting.
I love that. I love that story, right? Life is so short. And as you get older, you really realize how short life can be. So definitely taking that and really working with that. So if somebody wanted to connect with you, I'll have your website or your information at the bottom of the video and in the description, but share with us. We want to stay connected and support you on your journey as you move forward with all these creative projects you have going. What else can we do to kind of support you along the way?
I love that question, and thank you for that generosity of spirit. Anybody can connect with me at Paisley'sFashionForest.com. Paisley'sFashionForest.com. And then as far as my Instagram, it's Deborah.Weed. So it's Deborah.Weed. And if you're a singer or a dancer and you're creative and you love and you're passionate about theater, DM me, contact me, because I'm keeping my eyes open for the next Idina Menzel, or a dancer that's got a lot of style, or a singer. I mean, sometimes I'm not looking at how many influencers a person has, or how many numbers they have. Sometimes there's a person who just has this spirit and they just need a vehicle to be found. So you might want to contact me that way. And then if you love theater and music, stay in contact with me in that way, because I'm going to have a listening party for that 5-song album coming up really soon. And it's going to be so much fun. And then if you're an investor or producer, DM me. You never know. It might be the right connection. So I'm just available for all possibilities. And I love you for inspiring people to stay in their spiritual center, to know how magnificent they are as a human being. And I really appreciate your enthusiasm.
Oh, thank you so much. And those that are listening, thank you for listening. Thank you, Deborah, for taking the time today to share your story and your passion with us. I love being able to connect with people's creativity and passion and the things that they're working on. I hope that everyone listening has a magical week. But remember, comment, follow us, share on your favorite platforms. That's what helps us reach more and more people. And that's what we're truly here to do. And I hope that you'll listen to one of our other podcasts in the near future. Have a sacred and magical week. Thanks for stopping by today.
Thank you for joining us. To find out more about Vialet, head over to discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. You can also send a personal message to Vialet through email, violet@discoveryourspiritualgifts.com. If you love the show, subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. Until next time, remember, we are meant to have abundant and joyful lives. We hope to see you soon at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts.